Hello. Welcome to my channel. If you are, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Kristen. You can call me witch or you can call me bitch. It really don't matter. Just put some respect on that shit. I have a disclaimer. If you are easily offended or faint of heart, I am not for you. I am not your reader. I do not have your message. I cannot help you where you are at in your journey today. I'm okay with that. You have to be. So a lot of people were asking today, this is an open conversation, so feel free to sound off in the comments or in the chat if you are present during this live stream. A lot of people were asking questions. Yes, I am. A lot of people were asking questions in reference to tarot and like what different things mean. And I was like, oh yeah, like I really haven't done the Q&A that I keep telling everybody that I'm going to do for them. So I was like, well, let's do it today. So, one question that I get often, more often than enough, hello, welcome. More often than not, one question that I get is like, when did I start? Or what made me start? Or how did I know? Wait for some of this smoke to clear. I've always practiced some form of divination. I've always practiced the craft. And I was just naturally drawn to reading tarot. And that happened about 9 years ago. It'll be 22 years. I was 22 years old. So about 9 years ago. It'll be 9 years in February. So I've been practicing tarot for 9 years. I say practice because that is what tarot is. It's a practice. It's the same thing. Like a doctor doesn't do medicine. Like I don't do tarot. I practice. It's forever changing because everybody's story is different. A lot of people don't know about tarot is that there's 5 stories in the deck of tarot cards. Right? How many of you guys knew that? There was 5 stories in the deck of tarot. Not that many people do. Like, not that many people do know that. Right? We have the major arcana, which is typically, I didn't, yeah. We have 5 stories. The first story is obviously the Fool's Journey, which is the major arcana. Then we have the minor arcana, right? And that's like our suits, right? Our suits. So there's 22 in the major arcana, and then there's 56 in the minor, making 78 cards in a deck of tarot cards, in a tarot deck, excuse me. Right? So we have the Fool's Journey, which is the major arcana. And then we have, that's one story. And then we have the kind of sub-stories of the Fool. We have the Fool going through the journey of his pentacles, of their pentacles, excuse me. We have the Fool going through the journey of wands, or the actions. We have the Fool going through the journey of cups, or their emotions. And then we have the Fool going through the journey of swords, which is about like our mental. But swords is the only suit that kind of represents 2 things. And I think that's where a lot of people kind of get confused, because when we start talking about swords, love seems to come into play. So that's why I say when we talk about love, it's not just about your heart and your emotions, it's also about your head, because they kind of intertwine with each other, right? So this isn't really necessarily a teaching, so to say. It's a Q&A. So like, yes, I'm going to be teaching, but any questions that you have in reference to learning tarot, or grasping tarot, or just if you want to gain more knowledge about it. Somebody was asking in the live stream chat. So it's 5 stories, and that's how we're able to see where we're at in the Fool's journey, and then take from that the other details. So yes, you can remember a card, or yes, you can remember the meaning of a card, but if you don't know where that card falls in the story, then it can be a little bit harder to decipher the message. And I was saying this earlier, a lot of people are like, well, what is a great book, or give me a book that can help me learn tarot. 9 years ago, bitch, there was no book. We were like going through back alleys to find people that even sold tarot cards. So that's why I tell you guys, get a tarot deck for beginners, right? Get a tarot deck that has original art depiction. So you can get that picture association. Rider-Waite is great. Modern Witch Tarot is great, which is kind of high-key replacing the Rider-Waite deck. Use those guidebooks. If you're drawn to that deck, it's for a reason. The artist or the illustrator, or even both, give their interpretation of the card, allowing you to better understand the artwork or where they're at in their journey of the Fool while making the card or making the deck, right? It's like, I'm not going to recommend this deck. This is the Elemental Power Tarot deck. Like, it is a great deck. It's beautiful artwork. But if you're a beginner reader, I would not advise you to use this deck to start with. Like right here, like on this deck, like, okay, like, yes, you get the Three of Swords, but like, what else do you, like, there's nothing on here for you to kind of understand, for you to decipher a message, right? Whereas to like this deck, I'm not going to go and find the Three of Swords if it doesn't pop out, but like this deck, like, there's more artwork, there's more depiction, there's more, it's better for you to kind of grasp or gain the knowledge of the card, or allow you to have that picture association. And that's another way that I really learned 9 years ago how to start deciphering my messages. And I'm an avid reader, so like reading the guidebook was nothing to me. It was something that I was genuinely excited about, or genuinely excited for when I got a new deck, or, you know, when I was learning, like, let me go and read and let me go more into depth with like why I keep seeing this card. Even till this day, that's why I say it's a practice. I still go. I have the Rider-Waite app. I still go. If I keep seeing a card come up in a collective message, or in my private sessions, or even like if a deck keeps falling out of, a card keeps falling out of the deck when I am going and learning or reading message. I say learning somebody because that's what it is, right? I go into the guidebook and I read in depth. I read the story of the card. I remember where it's at in the journey, why it keeps coming out. So that's something else to keep in mind. Another thing that I get a lot when we talk about tarot, they're like, how do you know what means what? Like, what element is wands and cups? So, zodiac and tarot kind of intermingle, right? 12 of the 22 major arcana are represented by zodiac. And then even further, each suit is also represented by an element of the zodiac. So we have wands, which are about action, kind of finding sense of purpose or having sense of purpose. That's our fire elements. When we talk about cups, our emotions, our feelings, relationships, things of that nature, it represents water signs, right? Swords is about mental, right? It's about our logic. It's about being able to decipher. Those are our air signs. So think about all of your air signs and how they're very headstrong. And then we have Pentacles, right? Pentacles, disc, coin, whatever, but that's pertaining mainly to money. Money can be very surreal. Like when we think about money in a grand scheme, like it can build and it can destroy at the same time, but it is what it is. And those are earth signs, very grounding, right? So think about your earth signs in reference to Pentacles. So that's another way that you can decipher it. And then we also have our court cards, right? And that's also how we can get or come to the terms like cartomancy is tarot without the major arcana. So you'll see people doing readings. I even do cartomancy sometimes. I'll do readings with a regular deck of cards. They still correspond to the same, right? Hearts are cups, right? Pentacles are diamonds. Wands are clubs. And then swords are spades. So something to think about. It goes across the board. I also think our depictions of cards can change. Mine change often depending on what I've learned or where I'm at in the journey or recent experiences. It helps me gain a better understanding because, again, it's a practice. It's not a say all end all be all. I mean, it's one thing if, that's why it's okay that people interpret cards different. But there's a difference between interpreting and just completely misreading. Like, right? So, like, for example, the Five of Cups, like, I could interpret the Five of Cups. Before I used to interpret it like, kicking over your own cups. Like, you're looking at the lack of and all of this other shit. But now that like I'm growing and I'm going through my fool's journey constantly, right? Because at the end of the major arcana, we have the World. That's full circle. Now it's different to me. Like the Five of Cups doesn't represent the same thing that it meant to me when I first started 9 years ago. So it's one thing to evolve on the meaning of the card, but for you to straight up be like, oh, your love is coming back to you and, it's going to be amazing. Like, okay, you're completely misreading the card. Like there's nothing in any depiction of this card and any deck that you'll see that would show you that this means that love is coming back to you. So there's a difference between interpreting it different with the same meaning versus completely misreading a card, which happens more often than I would like, especially the light that tarot in different forms of divination and spirituality is getting projected nowadays. Again, that's just my opinion. That's just my opinion. It's a form of divination. And I will say that. I also think that when it comes to learning tarot, we try to put structure on our intuition. Well, no, that card can't mean that because of this, or that can't mean that because of this. But also when we're reading tarot, it's about the placement. It's about how these cards are falling. It's about where this person is on their journey, where you are on your journey. My one-line message to somebody, depending on where they're at in their journey or just in general, from a singular card could change their entire life. And I think that when we talk about learning to read tarot, or we are reading tarot, this damn hair tie, it's like we are given a task, and like we can't fall short of delivering the message in order to help somebody ascend or grow in their life, because we're dropping the ball on basic understandings or basic knowledge. That's why we like go off, like you tell them, like, but maybe that's what you needed to hear. So when it comes to like structure, reading tarot, it's great to have structure in general, but you have to be aware of the knowledge that you're giving based off of your interpretation. So you don't want to unintentionally misguide somebody because you think the Five of Cups is saying that their love is coming back, when actually it is the exact opposite. You know, so something to think about. Something to think about. So I'll open it up for any question. I just wanted to give y'all like a little rundown really quick. A little rundown really quick. So if anybody has any questions, please sound off in the chat. For those that are watching it, that are going to be watching it later, we are live streaming. So make sure you turn on your comments so you can see. Okay, so Abby asked, you have been educated to, ooh, it went away. How do I get it back? Okay. You have been educated and understand it before telling someone about their life. Yeah, the person doesn't actually know. Yeah. And that's part of reading. It's like you have to have or understand this person's situation again, like intuitively as well. Like not everybody's an intuitive reader, which is okay, but that then comes to you studying and learning and practicing placements of cards, the energy that a card holds, in reverse or right side up. In reverse or right side up. What are my thoughts on Oracle cards? I pull Oracle only for myself. I think Oracle is can tend to be the message, the cherry on top, or the message that that you needed at that time. I think it's the same. Like it wouldn't have came out if it wasn't meant for you. It's okay, Abby. Excuse me. Oracle cards are great. We're not supposed to have favorites. Excuse me, when it comes to tarot or when it comes to cards, because they all hold their own energy. They're like your own little kids, right? But if I did have a favorite, or if I did have a deck that I genuinely enjoyed based on the messages that it gives, it would be the Archetype deck by Kim Cranes that you guys love so much that I pull on my live streams. Is there a way to know what form of divination, or even if we have a gift to practice? I think it just comes down to you. It comes down to what are you intuitively pulled to. If you're not pulled to tarot, then don't do tarot. If you're like, damn, I always, when I get done drinking tea, like I'm always so obsessed with the tea leaves, or like I'm so obsessed at like looking at burnt candle wax, XYZ, like look into that. Like it doesn't always have to be tarot. Where is a great place to buy your cards? I was feeling like bookstores. I love going to bookstores because they always have like a selection that you would never think. I'm steering clear of Amazon. I'm starting to now that tarot is becoming a little bit more mainstream, nothing wrong with it. You know, but I get touchy on that situation, especially when we talk about like the gatekeeping aspects of it. So I'm just like, you know, but I'm starting to steer away from mainstream places to buy tarot because everybody has that shit, and I like having things, or like enjoying things and enjoying the energies of certain decks that nobody else has. And I'll leave it at that. And I'll leave it at that. But yeah, I'll leave it at that. But Etsy's a good spot. Barnes and Noble, Books a Million, your local metaphysical shop, local bookstore, if they offer it. Again, just my opinion. Just my opinion. Go wherever you are drawn. Like I say, like I find, or like I see tarot cards in random spots sometimes, and I'm like, oh yeah, that like this is meant for me. This is meant for me. Like I was randomly at HEB, and I was in like the chip aisle, and there was a deck of tarot cards, and I was like, what? And I was like, this is so fucking random. And I was like, I wonder if somebody left them here, they actually like sell them. And then I took it to the register, and they were like, yeah, I guess we do sell these. It came up in the register. And I was like, what? Do you have more? And they were like, this is literally the only one. So like that's also what happens to me. If you're from Texas, what up? You know how HEB, how we do it. But things like that happen to me. Sorry, you have to excuse. I think the neighbor's doing something to their house. I have no idea. So excuse the background noise. I apologize in advance. I apologize in advance. But yeah. I also think that Texas King. I also think that it's very dependent on self. It's very, very, very dependent on self. And we don't, not for anything. Like, if you're not in tune with your intuition and you're not in tune with everything that is going on around you in your growth, it's going to be very hard for you to read for somebody else's energy. That's why, you know, I tell everybody this. We can't put so much on our readers. We can't, like, we are human too. Not only are we human, but we're also going through the fool's journey. So that's why sometimes your guys' favorite tarot reader, you won't see them for a few weeks. Even me, sometimes you guys don't see me for a few weeks. And you're like, where the fuck you been at? Bitch, I've been going through life. I've been going through the fucking ringer. I'm trying to make sure my shit is together. And I think sometimes we tend to forget that, like, our tarot readers, our spiritual guides, like, how the fuck do y'all think that we got through and we have these experiences to share with you or to help you heal? Because we've also gone through them. And if you think that we're still not going through them, then, like, you definitely aren't in the mindset that everybody is growing. And how do you think that you could be Pentacle for somebody's growth if you're not going to grow yourself? So, like, I always tell you guys, especially on some of these other platforms, it's a red flag for me when somebody's like, yeah, like, my spiritual journey was great. You know, I'm done with my journey and I'm here to help you. Like, no, bitch, you're not done with your journey. You are absolutely not. If anything, you've just started. A journey doesn't end. A trip ends. A vacation ends. So that's that's a red flag reader to me if they're like, oh yeah, I just started my spiritual journey and it was great and I learned so much and now I'm done and I'm here to help you guys heal. Red fucking flag. Red flag. Red flag. Anybody, this is just my opinion. You guys know that already. Shit, you're watching my channel. Like, this is my opinion. Anybody that, if you haven't been practicing for like 80 years and like you're fucking like 90 years old, like, if you're out here doing fertility readings, like, that's a red flag. Again, my opinion, but that's a red flag. If it comes out, it comes out. But if you're open and actively seeking a fertility reader giving fertility readings, that's a big red flag. So any readers that you see like, oh shit, like, got these fertility readings, slinging fertility readings, red flag. Agreed. Like, again, my opinion. That's just my opinion. What other questions y'all got? I'm trying to see where my boba's at. I ordered boba. I also, again, just my opinion. If I do not read for myself every day. No, 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 no. I don't pull oracle for myself every day. More or less, for me, I look inward for my answers. But if I'm like, all right, like we gotta get this shit together, I'll pull an oracle, maybe pull a few cards, or I'll have some of my mutuals pull a card for me, because we can be very indecisive when it comes to the message that we want to receive, not just for ourselves, but when we tell ourselves that message. So there can be a lot of it can get tricky. I'll say that. So I don't read for myself every day. How do I recharge my energy? Here's the thing. If you This is just me. Obviously, like I disconnect, I step away. Like I said, sometimes you guys don't see me for a little bit. But we also have to think about it's not necessarily how do you recharge your energy, but it's how you protect your energy. Like you'll see a lot of people on here that will like go back and forth, or not on here, but like you'll see your tarot readers on your different platforms, and somebody will say something and they'll go off, or their energy will just like spike and it'll get crazy, and then their messages become clustered and fluttered and sound like dick cheese, right? Again, I apologize for that. I think that comes down to them not protecting their energy. Another red flag. So it's not, I don't necessarily, how do I recharge my energy? I think I just protect my energy. I just protect my energy in a different way, to make sure that I am able to give the message. And I think that's the difference. And I think that's the difference. But recharging, I just step away. I take time for myself. How do you protect your energy? You can use crystals, right? When we talk about the 5 pillars of energy, you can use crystals. You can make yourself a protection jar. You can use smudging. Like you guys know, like I'll either have it diffusing or I'll even have it going. Like y'all ain't coming over here starting some shit with me. Right? But it's also about your practice. It's also about like how you practice. That's just me though. That's just me though. I also think that as readers, like we don't necessarily have to remain in a positive energy aura or energy space. Like when I'm going through it, like how do I know like my message or what you guys say to me couldn't change? So that's another red flag. Like if a reader is like, oh, I'm going through it, gotta go, like yes, I'll disconnect, but like if they're like, okay, I'm gone for like 8 months, I can't see y'all, like no, like are we really healing together as a collective? And that's why I tell you guys when I'm doing my collective messages or I'm doing my readings on live stream, and if one day it's this message and then the next day it's the same message, you guys know I will stop doing collective messages. What is it that we need to do as a collective? Maybe we all need to disconnect. Maybe we're not delivering the message, or maybe it's something that just needs to sit and settle. So that's also something that you need to realize as a reader. That is also something that you need to be willing to acknowledge as a reader. Also expanding your vocabulary and realizing that it's okay for people to have the same message, right? It's like the love message. When will I find love? Like I don't need the cards to tell me that. When you love yourself, when you're not looking, like that's when you're gonna find love. That's why a lot of people are like, oh, tarot readers say all of the same shit, blah 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 blah. Like no, bitch, y'all keep asking the same questions that require the same answer, because we see it time and time again. And that's from our experience, from our practice. It's like saying, like, if we keep seeing some people coming in with chickenpox, we already know how to heal it. We already know what they need to do to make themselves at ease when sorry when it comes to healing chickenpox, right? So it's the same thing when it comes to healing how you find or who you find. It's the same kind of thing. I know that if you're asking when and where you're going to find love, that you need to find self-love first. So maybe ask a different question. So that's also something to think about. Right? What else? What other questions you got? Sorry, I was getting a call. My bad, y'all. My bad, y'all. I was getting a call. I also think it's a thing, it's something it's something that you have to take serious. And if you're not willing to take your own health and healing serious, then how do you expect to take somebody else's own health and healing serious? You know? But you know, that's my opinion. I told you I was gonna come on here for about 30 minutes, get it going, answer some questions. I hope that you guys enjoyed this stream. Thank you guys for everybody that is subscribed. Thank you for any new subscribers, and I will catch y'all on the flip side. As you know, hoes will be hoes. Bitches will be bitches. But you never know when it comes to witches. Which bitch is which? And no, I do not sell owls. So stop asking, okay?